Okay, so this is going to be a quick look at how to construct a histogram, and I'm going to start with the end result. We have a list of salaries for 31 staff members, and then what the histogram will do, it will count how many persons have a salary within a certain range, and it will plot a bar. So the heights of these bar is proportional to how many persons have a salary within that range. So a couple of things we have to recognize, which is going to help you to process the data. There's what we call the bin limit, which really looks at the entire range of data and divides that into pockets, and then we're going to count how many salaries are within each of those pockets. So let's dive into it and see how it's done. It helps to know what the maximum value is, so you can do that by selecting the max function for the range, and similarly it helps to know what the minimum function is, because what that's going to dictate is going to dictate the smallest value you need to display on the graph and the largest value you need to display on the graph. So those are useful information to have. The range from that is just the difference between the two. And we are going to want to work with whole numbers. So instead of working with 246,272, let's just call that 250,000. And this, instead of calling it 50,878, let's call it 50,000. And the range there is really going to be 200,000. And we are going to look to divide that range into, let's start with, say, 10 different bins. So the deliberate decision is to get 10 of these sections. So what is going to be the bin size? The bin limits are going to start with the minimum, and then it's going to go up evenly, the minimum plus what this bin size is going to be, and I'm going to lock that by hitting the function for the F4 button, and I get these dollar signs before the letter and the number. So once I have that locked, if I then go ahead and copy this formula down, and obviously we're not going to go beyond 250, I end up with the bin limits. So the first one is 50, then the next one is 50 plus 20,000 is 70, and it goes all the way up till it reaches the upper limit. Now, how do we get Excel to produce from this information the histogram? We're going to use the data tab, and data analysis toolpack is what we're going to use, and we are going to use histogram. Click on OK. Now all of this is sort of preloaded, and I don't want you to think it will be, so let me do it from scratch. The input range, what is the data that we are looking to plot the histogram for? That's what Excel is asking you. So let's highlight the data. And the next thing we're looking for is the bin range. You have to calculate this and input this in Excel. So the bin range is going to be that range there. So this gives the limit for each bin. Output range, where do I want Excel to physically put this histogram? I'm just going to have them start it in that cell right there. Or you could put it in a new worksheet or a new workbook. It's totally up to you. And we're going to do chart output. Importantly, if you look at these ranges, you notice that I do have the title of the column selected. So I have to make sure that I'm checking label here, and you have to be consistent. If you're doing it for the bin limit, where you're including the title of that column, you have to do the same for the input range, where you're including the heading right here, which is a part of the input. So we have both labels included. Alright, and then you are absolutely ready. You go ahead and you hit OK, and Excel generates, it repopulates the bin limits, and then it calculates the frequency for values between the lower limit and the upper limit, and it comes up with this histogram that you can change the size and all of that good stuff by adjusting it as you need. So there are a couple of steps. A couple of students have had difficulties in getting 0 as their frequencies. Not sure why, so I wanted to demonstrate the use so you could see what is being done, and then you can figure out the step that you're missing, because it's hard to see what step you're missing when I only see the results or get a statement from you that, hey, my frequencies are all coming out to be 0. Alright, so I'm hoping this helps, and feel free to send us an email for any further clarification that's needed. Thank you.